Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another webinar session organized by Factana Computing. We really appreciate and thank everyone present for taking the time and joining us in this webinar session. My name is Prasad, and I'm Customer Success Manager at Factana. A quick brief on today's topic, which is Generative AI Strategy for Digital Marketing. For those who have been part of our previous webinar, we are glad to have you back. And for those who are joining us for the first time, I would like to take a moment to provide a brief introduction to Factana Computing and the services we offer. Factana Computing is a leading provider of industrial AI solution for manufacturing industry. We have been assisting numerous medium and large enterprises in their journey towards adopting industry AI and digitizing their manufacturing operations. With a global presence, Factana operates in India, Europe, and United States of America. Mr. Hariharan Ganesh, who is the founder and chief architect of Factana Computing, will be presenting this webinar. So, before getting started, a quick note to all. If you have any question, do not hesitate to ask, and your question will be answered at the end of the webinar in a Q&A session. A recorded session of this webinar will be uploaded soon on our YouTube channel. And for those who will be watching the recorded session of this webinar, you can post your queries in the comment section of your YouTube channel, and we will be happy to answer them all. So without further delay, let me quickly hand over to Hari. Hari, over to you.
Thank you, Prasad. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are watching this webinar. Today is an exciting day because we have been planning this session for almost likely 8 weeks ahead, and we wanted to talk about this. As everyone knows, today is everybody talking about generative AI or AI in general. But we have a great experience in a couple of years trying different things at a different time, and if still it's evolving, but we have come across different scenarios, and we have applied the different type of AI solutions to different use cases. But in this topic, I would like to go through more detail about how and where we can apply generative AI within the manufacturing, manufacturing space. So especially on the core manufacturing operation, especially on the shop floor level, how do we apply and enhance the performance of the operations with the help of generative AI? Before I move into generative AI and talking about the generative AI and all, just wanted to recap on why we are talking about digital itself, right? So digital manufacturing itself. So let's just set the context first clearly. What is the problem in the traditional manufacturing? So traditional manufacturing works fantastically, but at the same time, it's all operates on a silos of data. So there are various departments within the into the core manufacturing operations, from the product design to all the way to the safety measurements. There are different departments out there. Each department have their own systems, operating procedures, and their own steps and processes and all. But everybody having their own systems, their own system procedures and things like that. So they are all operating in a silos of data sets. Of course, they exchange their information, but these informations are exchanged manually between the system, or even through in a systematic, in the way that, example, Excel sheets. So sending data between the department Excel sheet, or even providing a data through systems, required integration between the systems. Every time, example, quality team need a certain data from supply side, they have to request it and wait for the IT to build the integration layer and then bring the data to the quality team. Then only the quality team can access. So there is a time period, there is a delay, there is a dependency with IT to even get a small data set from a different departments in a traditional manufacturing model. So of course there is an integration, but the integration takes time to realize that. So the lack of real-time visibility is the biggest challenge, because all data are after postmortem. Um, Productions are happening in the static process, very static process. It doesn't change according to the situations. It's operating like a 10 years, 15 years, the same procedures, same process, and the same patterns. So also the limitation of across communication, departmental communication, manual quality process, like human vision, human inspected quality process, which leads into high operating cost, high what is it called? High low scalability, high agile, low agility and all. Which also leads into a lot of knowledge being being with the human than in the systems, and heavy dependency with the human workforce, which leads into a lot of complexities. People working in only department and they cannot even promoted to move into other departments, and that leads into people disappointment and things like that. So there are big challenges in the traditional manufacturing process or the operation model. Whereas in digital manufacturing means bringing these departments instead of working in silos in a collaborative model. In the sense like instead of data being a data producer as a department, every department will become a data producer and the consumer of the data. So creating an enterprise data layer or data backbone where all different departments communicate with each other by sharing the data is actually called the digital manufacturing. It's not about converting, giving a software or the mobile app to some department. It's not about creating a software and giving to them so they become digital. Still it's happening in the traditional manufacturing as well, but the digital manufacturing in the sense, the digital manufacturing practice in the sense, it's all about how do we bring the data together and share that, make the data accessible to different departments through whatever the interface they already using it, so that the information is available to them instantly, and that helps them to take a decision faster. And that's the whole idea behind digital manufacturing. And what that leads into, it leads into real-time data visibility across departments, whatever level they wanted to share it, and data-driven decision making, because data are available. Quality team can look at the supply data by querying it and then seeing it what data is available and things like that, and how the supplies materials are being supplied, what is the organic material supplied and things like that. Safety team have access to the maintenance reports to identify is there any safety measurements taken by the maintenance operations, so that the safety issues doesn't happen later part. And then access to the production, maintenance team have access to the production schedules, so they can plan and schedule the maintenance operation accordingly. Today it's completely silos. Maintenance team is depending on production schedule ahead of time so that they can plan the preventives or even predictives. If there is a predictive maintenance and they have to go and solve the problem immediately, but they cannot go and solve the problem because there is a production going on, and there is a critical delivery materials are going on, so they can't go and do that. So there is a data segregation in the real time, which addressed by the bringing the centralized data repository, and bringing this as a practice across the organization helps to retain their knowledge from all departments into single data layer that helps to make a decisions. But still there is a problem here. The data that being stored on the data layer or data enterprise data repository, which is a more IT data as well as the OT data, which is coming from the shop floor, still they are all raw data. So the user should know how to understand the data. Example, the quality department, they should know, they should have a knowledge on how to read the safety material, safety measurements or safety policies, how to understand the suppliers material informations, how to understand the design process so that quality is accurate. So they have to have a knowledge across departmental data to even look at that. The raw data cannot be like read directly into the way. So it also depends on the system to build the process and functions to make it meaningful way to that, right? Still, it's address the problems of traditional manufacturing, but at the same time, it also create a challenges for for the workforce to understand other departmental data. And this is where we are going to talk about how the generative AI is playing a major role to transform this completely and make the life easier for every workforce or every department to understand other data sets and take decisions faster. So the digital manufacturing drives real-time visibility, data accessibility, collaboration across the team, tools for them to instantly access. May very critical thing is the maintaining the knowledge across department in a single data layer. And there is on the conceptually, right? So now let's move into how generative AI can be applied into this particular this particular digital manufacturing process or practice. Let's understand the fundamentals of the generative AI, right? There are various jargons are there, in web, social media, different things are coming in every day. People are talking about different tools, technologies, companies about providing generative AIs or LLM, GPT, Chat GPT, and video generation. A lot of things are happening. Let's take a step and understand holistically what does that means. Generative AI is a advanced AI models which creates the contents based on the data. Again, I want to quote this, it's based on the data. So using the existing data, understand the existing data and patterns, analyzing these data, the models can create a descriptive level of data sets or images, audio, video, or even a code that could be used by the human. So the data AI models, the generative AI data models, generates text. When I say text, it's all about statements and procedures and things like that. Images for representation, audio or video files that could be listened or watched to understand things like that. It's also creating based on the patterns, based on the data pattern, based on the historic data patterns, based on the data that available in the data, content available in the data, and based on that, it identify the patterns and identify the context, identify the structure, applying that context and structures into your patterns to come up with the resolutions on that, and that resolutions are delivered to the human in the form of readable human readable format. Make it simple, make it easy statement to read it. So it's create a context based data statements that can be understandable by the humans. And there are many different architecture behind that. The most common, most known, well known to all of us are the GPT, which is a general purpose transformation model, which produce more accurate one. The BERT created by Google model, transformation architecture that's to create a different accuracy and things like that. But it's also not just LLM. It's also LLM is basically a large language model which creates the content that readable by the human in their own languages. But at the same time, there are specialty models that creates videos, audios, and things together. So the most popular LLM which creates dynamics of all of this are OpenAI and Gemini or Claude and things like that. So there are many different companies offering different foundation level of LLM, which basically having a basic knowledge, the foundation knowledge, general knowledge available, but it doesn't have the organization knowledge, right? So it's organization data are within the organization infrastructure, whereas in the foundation LLMs are coming with the common knowledge that available on the public network. So we are going to bind these together from the organization standpoint. So how the generative AI impacts across industry, because generative AI has become a buzzword today, and every company, every industries are excited about this, how to leverage this technology available in the market, right? So there are across industry there are various use cases are identified and transformed and being applied, generative AI being applied into those use cases. So from the life science to banking, investment, or retail, automotive. To the context of this webinar, let's talk about the industrial manufacturing or manufacturing sectors. According to Gartner last year, there were 10 use cases identified, but today I'm going to talk about every departmental use cases. That's going to give a lot more insights, how we can apply this technology in each department within the manufacturing practice or process, and what are the different use cases we can apply that. I will talk about that, and I'm going to present about that. I could probably present around 40 to 50 use cases today, highlighting that. And in general, generative manufacturing adds value. Where it adds value, right? So it's basically helps to improve the current operational efficiency to the next level with the help of knowledge and the data representation that helps the existing team to take decisions faster. So that's a core value and high value that being delivered by the generative AI. It's basically enhancing people's perspectives and taking decisions faster, helping the people to make calls quickly, and it converting or diverting that into the actionable in actions, so that that improves the organizational efficiency. But in the context of how we can apply, how we can bring that to that, right? There are basically models out there, and then we need to customize the models to make it applicable to the own organization data sets, right? So I have data sets in my organization, but there is a general pattern, the general foundation model available. I need to merge these two things together, but how do I put it together, right? So there are different terminologies are there, including the Copilot, which is very commonly known from Microsoft. And Copilot helps to people to on a query basis, chatbot basis, get the responses quickly and faster. That's a more effective way. And then building some kind of a new solutions, coming up with the agents, and which can do the assistance instead of not just responding to the queries in the text format, but also being like a assistant to the workforce or team to execute tasks and all. So that's also possible with the help of generative AI. So there is a huge innovation happening across different perspective of generative AI, and the impacts are all directional together. Now, before we move into the use cases, let's understand a little more on the foundation of how do we build it, what is required. When you say generative AI, is it a pre-packaged solution that I can buy it and install it and run it, or is that something I need to build it on top of that? So generative AI is a whole holistic solution. It's a platform which have a different steps to drive the value of that. You take any foundation model like a chat gpt or gpt from OpenAI or Claude, or even proximity and Perplexity, and you take all of them, and then you try, you use it, you will get a general knowledge, right? Because it's a foundation layer. The foundation layer all large language model, LLM and GVM, and even could multi models producing video, audios, and things like that. So the foundation layer is coming with its own or foundation layer coming with its own basic knowledge of generally publicly available data, right? You could start and use it, but it doesn't customized according to your infrastructure, your environment. So what that we have to do that? So we have to feed the our enterprise data, which we have seen that before, right? How the enterprise data playing in the major role in the digital manufacturing, right? So we bring the every data sets into the centralized layer, and from the data layer, enterprise data layer, we feed the data into the models foundational layer by fine tuning the foundation, which knowledge is basically educating the foundation models to be more knowledgeable according to the organization data or enterprise data. So basically training it, basically giving a training, like hiring a new employee and training them. That new employee is a super intelligent employee, but may not know my organizational data. So I'm just to give the data to the new employee to start reading all the organization data and be knowledgeable on that. That's what this training means, right? And make it ready, customize it. It's called fine tuning. It's called fine tuning the foundation layer. So create a data pipeline and then feed the data to that. And that data pipeline should be a living pipeline to for the real time, knowledge development. So it should be a living pipeline. It's not like a one time feed the data and then we are done. No, it's a living pipeline. It must be living pipeline. And then create the foundation layer. But the foundation layer is good. right? Foundation layer is that, so, okay, all knowledge is there in the foundation layer. Okay, I can go and ask questions to get the response. Yes, you can get it. But you have to give little more context to that, saying, hey, I'm going to ask you about the quality policies, and I want you to analyze the quality policies and give me the proper response. That means you are indicating to that, to the layer, to the model, to say that, hey, give me a specific instruction based on this particular information, right? That kind of knowledge is called domain knowledge, right? You are basically giving the context to the person. Even if we are talking to somebody, we need to give a context to them. Hey, I'm going to talk about this, can you give me idea on this, right? So that's called retrieval augmented generations, RAG, right? That's kind of a prompt generation. So basically, you give a context, a different context, you define the different context based on the user request. Context will be identified, and then the specific data sets will be driven. So that gives more domain knowledge to the model to retrieve the data. And then of course you build the APIs, and then on top of that your application systems, your existing application systems can call the generative AI layers to get the request and response and present to that. Example, you have a MES software, or you have a ERP systems, and you want to have enrich the data and give a recommendations to the users. You could make the whole the generative AI platform accessible through APIs, and the application could consume those APIs and query that and present to the user. So the users need not go to the new systems to do things. They could use the existing systems to query the data and build it. So this is the foundation. So we need to build this layer for better results. We can use the foundation layer, but it is very generic data. So instead of that, to feed the organizational data, the enterprise data, and then build the knowledge. From the knowledge, give interfaces to applications, existing interfaces, to leverage this technology available to the users. So this is the way that we have to build the whole reference architecture, and this is the way we have to build this whole platform within the organization at high level context. Now I bring that architecture and put together into the digital manufacturing, right? So we talked about the digital manufacturing is being enterprise data sets, and that's being available across across departments. And now, of course, the departments are producing, consuming the data available in the enterprise data layer. But as I talked about, it was a raw data, right? So the raw data, people should know how to understand it, how to make a dishes out of that, right? The quality department may not understand every data sets available in the supply side or the safety side. The maintenance team may not understand everything about the design side of that, because they are not knowledgeable to the design, design things. So to enrich their knowledge, we bring the generative AI platform in between the enterprise data available in the data platform and the user interfaces. So the consumers or the departments will interact through generative AI to the enterprise data, so they can apply the context clearly. First, ask the generative AI to analyze the data from supply data, or find predictions to based on the data available in that, or apply a OEE formula. We don't need to build the OEE solution. We can just ask them to, okay, give me the OEE of this particular plant, production line, or the machineries. So you can instantly access the data and get the context of that, creating reports. We don't need to build the software to do the reporting. So we can ask that generative AI or chat based interfaces, hey, give me a report about safety measurements taken last 2 months. So it's created reports for you in the text format. That's where LLM plays a major role. And then enrich the data, even creating a data, like simulating a data. I want to have a sample data for quality measurements. So it gives the sample data, enriched data. So it's not just a raw data that being served to the departments, the enriched data being given to the departments, and with the help of generative AI, they can simply contextually ask the questions, apply formulas, get the data enriched, and then use the data for the decision making. This improves the knowledge of across the department, having a more broader knowledge, at the same time applying the context clearly to get more insightful information. This is the advantage of using generative AI on top of the enterprise data layer to present more meaningful, enriched content to the each and every department. Now, what is the result of that, right? So, what is the role? How this will help in different departments? So, let's go through that again, all the departments, just a high level. Design department, product designs, they could create new designs, they could simulate new designs, prototyping it, new designs, and come up with the results based on the context data. Production, they can apply intelligence and they can come up with the new production plans or dynamic routing based on the demand, based on system availabilities, say based on workforce, based on supplies and things like that. Production data can be analyzed to identify the productivity and improvement areas. Maintenance team can use the predictions to identify how they can prevent a failure, how they can reduce the downtime, how they what root cause analysis and things like that. I will go through each and everything in detail. The quality department can understand the quality inspection procedures and then creating a root cause of the defective products. Supply chain can build the intelligence to plan and execute the fulfillment process. Very important, very, very important is workforce knowledge are retained in a central repository and building a training materials. So not relying on one particular, tribal work person to do things. The knowledge is available across the team, building a knowledge management portals or knowledge management systems that can be embedded into any system that each and every department accessing to build their own knowledge in that area, and then reducing this risk and safety identification. Now we will go through one by one every department and its use cases. So let's talk about the product design and innovation. The most critical part of the organization is the product design and innovations. And the more innovative companies are coming up with the more innovative solutions will lead in the market. And we have seen that several times. So product innovation is that. But today it's heavily relying on the highly skilled design engineers and their knowledge to apply, come up with the new design ideas. With the help of the generative AI and the enterprise data combination based on the history of the previous design data and the publicly available knowledge, other market available knowledge combined together, we could come up with the new concepts generations, asking the generative AIs to come up with give me a new design ideas. How do I improve the systems? How do I add a value to that? Right? So come up with a new design ideas without even designing it. It gives you the instance, it creates images for you, you give the input images, you ask them to add a new designs and come give ideas. It basically gives you ideas, it doesn't do the full design, it basically gives you the idea so that the design engineers can think out of the box and then come up with the new designs and innovations. So creating new products is much faster in the with the help of generative AI. Design optimization, there is a flaws in the designs, how do I rectify that, get the idea from it. Simulating a design, before even designing it, come up with the simulation data and find out how the design will react in the practical use of the product. And prototyping the product, right? So creating a product and then applying that to the different example automotives, applying air filters, coming up with a new air filter designs and how this will fit into different cars, right? Different car manufacturers, how we can use this new air filters at the different car manufacturing side. So come up with a prototype without even doing the prototype, just ideas, concepts, and come up with that and then apply that and then see the results. Mass personalization, what does that means? Understanding the demography of the customers who are all using our products and then now come up with that, okay, this particular region, this particular customers are very interested in this particular product lines, so how do we improvise them with the help of new designs, wrappers and things like that, come up with that and then presenting it to them and make the market more accessible to that. So the knowledge may not be available in the existing team and they have to do a research and development or market analysis for months to come up with a new design. And after rolling it out only, we will know that whether the design will works or not. But by doing mass personalization, the design team can come up with a new design ideas quickly, faster, based on the historic data and the enterprise data. Then they can roll it out and see how that's reacting. So have alternative models. creating sustainable design according to the sustainable policy of the organization. Design team may not know the sustainability policies, organization sustainability policies. They have to apply that, but they may not know how to understand that. So they may use this data set to apply that. So sustainable designs can be done quickly without even the knowledge of the sustainability, especially carbon reduction. How do I apply the carbon reduction in my wrapper development, right? So I cannot, I may not knowledgeable to do that. So I can get the help of generative AI and chat GPT or chat bot to get the input from it and then apply that to the design. So the design innovation can be enhanced with the different use cases applied on that. Every different use case identified here could leverage the GPT or the generative AI platform to quickly come up with the prototype design ideas and make them more efficient. Now moving to the production, right? Design is done. Let's move to the production. In production, as we discussed earlier, production scheduling is the most complex part. And today it's predominantly driven by the manually based on the people's experience. The person creating his production schedule or even using systems like SAP and other systems, when they're scheduling it, it's based on the what they are configuring it. It doesn't give new ideas, new plans, new plannings. So apply based on the historic data, based on the history of incidents and things, come up with a new production scheduling or multiple scheduling, alternative schedules, and identify which schedule will work more efficiently. Identify the timeline to make materials available before that. Planning it and executing it is highly possible with the help of generative AI. Even before you apply the new ideas of your similar production schedule, you can identify the simulation of that. Okay, let me apply this schedule and see how quickly I can complete that particular thing. What is my throughput? What is my energy consumption if I go through this process? So based on the historic data, even before applying that to the production, you could simulate the date, simulate that schedule and identify whether the schedule is the more efficient way of doing it or not. So the production simulations can be done. Real-time decision supports, in terms of currently what is happening in my production, what is the status of my material, how can I change my plan today, because my there is a supplier suddenly coming and asking some prototypes. I have to use this particular asset or the machine to create a prototype design because my manager is asking me to create a prototype design and give some samples. So I need to stop the production and do that, or should I use the right time to do that? What is the right time today? I can apply this samples creations. So that kind of real-time decisions can also be queried and identified with the help of the GPT. So basically, assistant that helps more knowledgeable assistants that sits next to us and then giving responses to whatever situation that we are facing in the practically in the day-to-day operations. So process optimization, even creating a production report. So instead of manually creating or waiting for reports over the period from MAS team, and they spend week time to create a reports and present to the management. This could be easily helps to create the report instantly from the system and improve the support on and which they face the different problems and they need help and they are not sure what to do on the scenarios. They could ask the help from the knowledge repository to find out what is the best solution for that particular use case and scenarios. Moving into the quality, there are a set of use cases we can apply in quality management, including defect classification, test case, test scenarios, test executions. How do we apply this and what is the result of that? So even before preparing a test data itself or quality data itself, metrics, how do I measure the parameters and what parameters I need to measure it? How do I identify the defects? What was the reported by the customer, reported issues? How do I identify that? How do I include that in the part of the procedures? So you can identify the defect classification, come up with the analysis and then result solutions to improve that. Even quality department is not just a department to check the quality, but also they can give a recommendation to the design team to improve the quality of the design. That helps them. So the knowledge can be shared across the departments to get more quality productions or quality products to the competitive market. Applying synthetic data, very critical use case for the quality department. Creating a synthetic test data or defect data and identify the data and then apply and see where the results are, how it's impacting the overall process, how this is going to impact at the customer level, how this is going to impact at the and when they are applying the product finished goods to the different use cases, especially automotive parts manufacturing, or pharmaceutical manufacturing, and then identifying the root cause of the issues happening, why these kind of defects are always coming, issues are coming, and how do we identify that. Quality reporting, creating a quality reports according to the quality standards like ISO standard or OSO standards or whatever other standards that you are following according to your industry. And you want to create a reports, but you are not sure about the format of that. You don't know how to prepare it, or you don't know how to accommodate that. Use a generative AI platform to build those reports instantly, applying different context, different aspect, and it gives the reports according to the standards. So then creating SOP procedures, how to follow the process, how to train the people, more important, how to retain the quality check knowledges to the newcomers. How do we add this knowledge to the newcomer? How do we assist them with the quality knowledge so that they can quickly come up, ramp up, and then start creating new production line itself with a new product design, new production line, new quality process, new set of deliverables is much easier, faster with each and every steps if we are applying the generative AI knowledge into that. Now let's moving into the maintenance department, very critical one for the organization to sustain and producing effectively. Maintenance scheduling, most complex part in maintenance scheduling is according to preventive schedule, on-demand schedule, and incident-based schedules. How do we accommodate that in the high-pressure environment? How do we go and solve the problems quickly and easily? How do we dynamically scheduling the team to go and work on different time, different areas at different time without impacting the production? So all these dynamics can be applied with the help of algorithm problems. You don't need to remember the formulas. You don't need to remember the algorithms. You don't need to work on whiteboarding sessions, or coming up with the sessions where you can draw a different diagram, different workflows to scheduling it. You just use a GPT or the generative AI interfaces to query and understand how different schedules can be done. How we can create an instruction to the workforce. Knowledge is important, right? So knowledge is being built on the generative AI. So how do we give this data to different workforces with the instructions to them, to the specific instruction, like a checklist for maintenance operation? What is this SOP they have to apply to that? How do we apply the, based on the root cause identified based on the previous instance, identify the root cause of that, and then come up with the corrective actions? And how do you apply the corrective actions into the SOPs? How do we enforce this, right? So all these steps could be, easily simplified with the help of generative AI. And forecasting the parts information availability based on the previous history of events. You don't need to build a larger business intelligence system and for the year period to come up with the forecasting. So you can simply use that ask the generative AI to apply the forecasting knowledge, find the best algorithm, apply the algorithm, give me the recommendations based on my history of my maintenance operations, give me the forecast of what materials I should have and when, and plan your purchase planning according to the forecast. So you can do that, or you can get the help and then apply on top of that. You can still apply your knowledge, but you can also apply with the help of that. So it's basically making life easier for everyone. The last one is supply chain, right? So supply chain, not last one, the last before the supply chain. In the supply chain, again, forecasting is very, very critical. And based on the suppliers, conditions, how they are supplying, what was the history of the suppliers. Some of the suppliers are nowadays, not delivering on time. So how do we change the plan? How do we change it? How do we identify the alternate? What is the risk behind dependency with this a particular supplier? What is the quality, ratio or the defect ratio that supplier is delivering to us? How do we plan and logistically move the materials to different plants according to the needs, and demands? Because different plants have a different orders, different things. Especially, if in automotive parts manufacturing or pharma manufacturing, or even in the process-oriented manufacturing companies, routing and planning and routing is very critical, because different parts are produced in different locations, and that should go into the assembly line, or even the final production line to come together. So planning and execution across plants is critical to demand. So that's not only within the plant and departments, it's across plant and departments we need to plan it. So applying to the enterprise scale helps to come up with the best routing of possibilities on the supply chains and demand forecasting. The one is safety compliance, right? In terms of safety and compliances, risk and safety compliances, identifying the risk factors, identifying that and predicting it, what could happen based on the historic data, based on generally publicly available data which happen in other companies, and based on the incidents reported by other companies and risk handled by other companies, the knowledge from other competitor environment, as well as internal data sets knowledge, applying that into the safety measures, and then come up with the new safety protocols, policies, and procedures that could help system operating procedures that will help to improve the safety measurements, identify the incidents, analyze the root cause of the incidents, and come up with the new procedures that improve the safety line of the worker safeties. Identify the real-time advisory, create a compliance reports, and file the reports, quickly to the for the compliance preparations. You don't need to have a auditing it. You don't need to have a you don't need to. You still need an external auditor to do the compliances purpose, but at the same time, you can do the pre-run of the auditing scenarios and come up with the findings and gaps, and you could address that even before you call the external auditor to come and do the auditing or your safety compliance. So all of them is possible with the help of generative AI, which is a super intelligent supercomputer available to you, and which can help you at every use cases, every scenarios that you come across in your manufacturing operations, and solve that with the help of that intelligence. We have seen three major area of improvement. One is the faster decision making. This is a super critical in today's organization world. Knowledge is not equal to across all executives and workforce. Knowledge is depends on individuals and their capabilities. So decision making is also depends on individual and their capability. So enhancing their knowledge, providing more insights to them to make the decision making faster is easier. So more than 50% decision makings, accuracy of the decision making, not only that, faster decision makings happening with the help of generative AI today. Many decisions are enforced or influenced by the generative AI knowledge and intelligence. Second one is the innovations, new innovation in terms of not only the product design but also in every department and their system procedures. New innovation, new way of procedures, new way of you know processes can be improved with the help of the generative AI knowledge and the repository with enhanced organizational data sets. That's very important, right? Public information may be useful but may not be relevant to you. So in adding an enterprise knowledge into that is very critical into that. So 45% of the improvement happening, and overall operations has been improved across organization. And we are talking about the plant level, we are talking about multiple plant levels. So more than 30% of operational excellence or operational improvements that we have seen with the help of the generative AI. It's make life easier for everyone if we use these super computing systems for day-to-day operations. Now the challenging part is, how do we implement this kind of a technology in my organization? We are distributed organization. We have a different departments, different ITs, different responsibilities, different roles. How do we bring that? Is it required organization-wide initiatives, or is it required departmental-wise initiatives? It's better to do that at the organization level, as we talked about. Cross knowledge is important across department, but at the same time it could also start in a smaller scale. Don't start in the enterprise scale day one. Start in a departmental scale, and then move forward with the enterprise scale. So that's the way that we need to implement it. So let's put this steps that we have to do that as a methodology. Very critical. Identify the business objective. Where is the high impact area where I can bring this technology or platform, where I can embed the data? So you are not going to feed the entire organization data into that generative AI platform on day one. You have to feed the critical data sets to make a specific use cases. So identifying the specific business objective is the first step. Second step is to understand the data accuracy. The more accurate data, the better results. If you have an inaccurate data, legacy data, and inaccurate data, incomplete data, your results will be incomplete. It will not be accurate. So the end results is purely based on your data. Purely based on your data. It's 200% importance of how accurate data that you have in your enterprise data. So identifying, assessing the data availability and the accuracy of the data is very important before even you go and start your first generative AI project. Second one, identify the business. Third one is the identify the business case. Identify a critical use cases, and how do we come up with the RAG on that, retrieval augmented, generation, to identify the prompts on that, so that the prompts helps to enhance the response. So the prompts are very critical. So identifying the prompts and creating it in the vector tables is very important. That's the third step. Fourth step is bringing the right model into that for your organization. If you are in Microsoft, you are in or AWS, or you are in Google Cloud, you have different options, different models, different foundation layers available. Which one is the right one? You need to identify and bring that to that, along with the architecture that we looked at, the reference architecture we looked at. Define the reference architecture, create those layers, and then feed that data into that, create a pipelines and feed the data into the models. So you build that interfaces, chatbot, accessibility, and information APIs, all of them as part of the model identification as well as the workflow and development. Once after you developed the basic level of models, then and the enhanced and fine-tuned model, then go after the pilot rollout to a specific department, specific use cases. Just ask the user to validate with it, and let them feel, look at that, and then validate whether the results are coming accurately or not. If the results are not coming accurately, that means we need to address the data. We need to address the data. Probably we need to address the prompts. So the results and prompts are, data and prompts are critical. So roll out the pilot rollout in one particular department, maybe one particular scenario use cases, and then move after that. Get the human verification until the stabilize the platform. So get the feedback from the operators and people's feedback, and improve the systems by updating the prompts, updating the data sets, accuracy of the data sets, structuring the data sets, and rolling. Then you roll out to the other departments. Not only rolling out to the other departments by adding more and more data to the context, but also continuously monitor and improve it. It's a continuous process. It's not like one time project that you can roll out. The continuous process will improve the continuous improvement, and continuous improvement helps you to improve the organization efficiency. The more the process, the loop that we are going through in the iterations, the better accuracy, the better results, better ROI out of this. So very important key points that we should be careful if we need a better results, and not leading into any failure generative AI projects. Number one is the data quality, very important, super critical. Number two, real time data, how quickly we can bring the data to that. Number three is the the prompts generation, the dictionary of how we are maintaining it, how we are enriching the context to the GPT, because GPT is a supercomputer which has a knowledge, global data sets, and organization data sets, right? So it cannot take without prompt context, it may go in hallucination. So it may imagine something and responding something, right? It should not go into hallucinations. The more prompting is important. So RAG dictionary creation is very important, identifying that. So there are special engineers who can do this prompt engineering work to identify different context according to the domain. The domain knowledge is important on that. Fourth one is the include human in the loop until the system reach the highest level of maturity. Include the human, validate it, fine tune it. Then keep doing all of this process. Super critical. All four of them is important to the success of the generative AI projects. Many companies thinking that they can go with quickly go into chat GPT, and then feed the fine or fine tune the model in the open AI LLM, and then they could see that, and they have been failed because the results are not that, and users have stopped using it. because they are not seeing the adequate and responsive data because of these four critical lack of this process followed on that. So, then who we are and how we are doing it. We are as we seen that in the beginning. We are industrial AI companies, very focused to the industrial market, especially manufacturing sectors, and we offer three different layers of AI offerings. The foundation layers are the traditional machine learning models and things like that, which we still build for customers specific to that, like predictive maintenance or predictive forecasting and things like that. But generative AI is part of our advanced AI offering, where we build the generative AI, conversational AI, and all as part of the core solution. And then we also provide the AI on the edge, where we go with the CVs, computer vision models, or predictions, or even building a agent on the edge, like building a generative AI based agents or generative AI instance to the operator level, to locally they can access the data and things like that. So we provide all different layer. Today we are not talking practical. I mean, we are not talking theoretical. We are talking more practical. We are not just talking all these stories based on the use cases, based on the theoretical stuff. We have built this in our practice, and we have rolled out our solutions, and we already have a Copilot solution as part of our product solutions. And this Copilot can help instantly apply into that, and start using the all the interfaces, and the foundation layers we built already. The only only data that we need from you, use enterprise data to feed into the foundation layer that we built it. All rest of the process that we have already created it. So your enterprise data will enhance your reach, and you can apply that quickly. And we are already created the product and solutions available in the market, but it can be customized according to your enterprise data, and quickly rolling into your organizational needs. So you don't need to do everything from scratch. We could help you to accelerate it with our solutions. With that, we are in the end of the session. I would like to give back to Prasad. Prasad, you can carry on.
Thank you, Mr. Hariharan, for the deep insight. So we have a few questions. So the first question is, how long it takes to roll out generative AI?
Okay. It depends on the accuracy of the data, because there is no point in talking about timeline without having accuracy of the data. So typically what we have seen, if you start from scratch and you don't have any foundation layers and you have to build everything from scratch, it might take up to 4 to 5 months if you are for rolling out the pilot phase itself. But if you leverage our accelerators or our solutions, which can help you to realize that in a 4 to 6 weeks period, we could make it faster. But typically it takes 4 to 5 months or even 6 months, depending on the accuracy of the data. If the data is not available, and then the data has to be built, then it may take even more time to build the data platform, and then going into the pilot rollout. So typically pilot takes 4 to 5 months time.
Okay. The second question is, do we need special skills to build the generative AI or Copilot?
Um, yes and no. Uh, the the technology that we are using are typically the APIs, UI interfaces, and the foundation model is available in the market. So we basically procure the foundation model, and then we have to enhance it. But at the same time, prompt engineering is a completely relevant new area. So there should be a special skill, domain knowledge, as well as the identification of the prompting and designing it is required. There's a special skill required, but not every layer. But some layers we need a special skills to build this solution. Especially prompt engineering is the most demanding skill in the market right now, which And it's very specific to the domain area, because domain knowledge is important to build the prompt engineering, and related RAG identification and dictionary creation and all. So there is a set of areas we require, but in other areas like interface development, API developments, any IT knowledge, prior experience in API development should be sufficient.
Okay. We have another question. Will the slide deck be provided after the session?
Yeah, the slide deck should be available in the video itself. If you want a slide deck, so you can write to us. Either you can write to us in info or sales, whatever it is. You can request the slide, and we can send you the PDF version of this slide for your reference.
Yeah, yeah. As I have previously stated, we will be uploading the recorded version of this webinar to our Factana YouTube channel. So, you can visit the YouTube channel to watch this or any of the past webinars. Okay. So that was all the question we had. Thank you, Hari, for answering all the question. I hope it was helpful for all of us. Now, I think it's the time to wind up the webinar. So before winding up, for those interested in gaining further insight into IoT Industry 4.0 and smart factories, we encourage you to explore our blog section at fogwind.io blogs. And additionally, if you are seeking collaboration opportunities, please don't hesitate to contact us at sales@factana.com. Thank you, everyone, once again for participating in this session and contributing to its success. We eagerly anticipate connecting with you in our next webinar soon. So stay tuned and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.